What's going on, guys? My name's Ricky.
And I'm Kat.
And this is MSG Built. So this video has been a long time coming, almost a year in the making since we first came up with the idea for MSG to where we are today. So purpose of this is to get our YouTube off the ground, which we'll start documenting more in depth, things we do with our car, all the things that we learned. But MSG is here. It's a place for me to teach Kat all the ins and outs of cars, build together, and ultimately race. If you follow us on Instagram, MSG Built as well, you know we've come a long way and we've been hinting at this YouTube page. So we're pretty excited. Behind the camera, I've got my lovely wife, Diana. Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
So she's gonna help guide the conversation. So let's get into it.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Why don't you tell us about what MSG is?
MSG is a place, like I said, to teach Kat all the ins and outs of cars. I want to teach her everything from basic maintenance to full-on builds, fabrication, and ultimately racing the car. And that's pretty much it. Teach, build, race. That's our motto, and that's what we are sticking to, and that's what's going to guide us through this.
Sweet. What inspired you?
Oh yeah. Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, baby.
So what about Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, inspired you? And what did you ask me almost a year ago to the day that you wanted to do?
What inspired me was all the drifting. I wanted to see myself doing that. And I've been like, hey, maybe I can ask my dad if we could do a project on a Miata.
And which Miata, wait. Which Miata did you ask for, though? What did you want? What was your original one you wanted?
A Miata, as I refer to, Thing of One.
But, as I explained to her, if we're going to start this project on something new, I've built a lot of cars. I've also not finished a lot of cars. I don't want to hear it. Those of you that know me, I learned from my mistakes. Anyways, I've never built a Miata. It is something that I've always thought would be cool. We're short people, we fit good in small cars, and it's basically a street legal go-kart. So I told her, let's start with an NB, bigger motor, better upgrades from the factory. It's a better starting point since we're both learning on this project. So she agreed, let's build an NB, and I told her once we progress, we get this build done, we'll probably build an NA. Sorry, baby. So NB it was. And that was about this time last year that Kat asked me that. But why, Kat? What is something else you say? What is it that you have in the back of your mind to do when you grow up?
It was a few options. Mostly if I want to become an engineer, I wanted to learn all the basics. So later on in life, I'll be like, hey, my dad already taught me all this. I know it. Let's go.
So
Bingo.
there you go. She's hinted at possibly wanting to go to school, eventually be an engineer. That could transition into something with automotive. You never know. So I'm teaching her how to work with her hands, how to be crafty, and just have fun doing it. And it's something that we can do together. It's a bonding experience. If you've seen our recent video on our Instagram, you know I've tried to get my son involved. He could care less. So we'll see as he grows. So for now, this is a Kat and I thing. Diana is supportive.
Yes, I am. I'm very, very supportive.
But she doesn't love cars.
Not my thing, but you know what? They love it. I support them. And we are just a great, loving family. So, let me ask you this. What have you learned so far?
I learned how to, so far, drive it, kind of. I know how to shift.
Hold on. Let me give some context to that. How old are you, Kat?
I'm 11.
They couldn't hear you. For the people in the
back. Oh my God, I am 11. Chill.
So we put Kat behind the wheel of our side-by-side when she was 8, maybe 9-ish. She's been driving off-road since then. She learned the basics. She was fearless. And that has transitioned into this. As she got a little bit older, about 10-ish, she started driving my truck on a closed course in Mexico, for sure. Now we, closed areas, she's been practicing driving my truck. And then once the car was ready to drive, we learned stick shift, which she hit the ground running, literally. She only stalled once or twice, and that was not on the first attempt either. She stalled later in the day. So she is a natural with a lot of things. We worked on shifting 1, 2, 3 and downshifting 3, 2 going into turns. And we've got a lot to grow on still, but she's done very well.
Hey, better than my first time 20 years ago.
Yep.
That's for sure. Tell me what your goals are.
I'll start. You want me to start it?
Hey.
Okay. All right, so the goal. Let's start with a little brief history. And keep in mind, we're going to do a lot of videos moving forward. I promise they'll get better. I hope. But next video is going to be a full walk around of the car. We're going to talk about everything we've done, but a quick history. We picked up the car in January of this year. A week later, I drove it to work, and mind you, this is never intended to be a daily driver. I won't drive it all the time. This is a fun car, a toy, and a race car. But I drove it to work. 1 week after buying it, what happened, Kat?
The whole right side was absolutely destroyed, scratched.
Quarter panel through the door. My coworker drove her truck right through it.
He was so heartbroken.
I'm not mad at you. You see this? I'm not mad. Because it pushed us along. But the original goal was we were going to take the car. It had a couple oil leaks, so we were going to reseal the motor, do some motor work, mild upgrades. Nothing too powerful because Kat, again, is only 11, and we have to get her to being able to handle the car at its max now, and so on. But it was originally the plan: basic suspension, wheels, tires, and motor work. Drive it as is with its original faded paint. In case we scratched it, damaged it, we wouldn't worry about it. But the entire quarter panel, door had to be replaced. I wasn't going to repaint the car multiple times, so we decided we were going to build the entire car, looks-wise, exterior-wise, and that's what we did over the course of the year. And this is what you see right now. Show them a brief. Again, we're going to do a walk around. That's going to be the next video, and hopefully within a week. We'll try to keep the gaps between these videos pretty small, and we'll talk about all those things. But this is her. Painted back to her original color. Big shout out to my good friend at Colazzo Paintings for doing that for us. He came out and helped. We did a lot of the prep together, but ultimately he sprayed it, so thank you, bud. But this is where we're at. This thing is beautiful, but it is still intended to be a race car. I get asked that a lot. You really gonna race? Yeah, I'm gonna run down some cones with this thing. I already did. We already did our first autocross. We did our first autocross. That's a learning experience for me. I've never done autocross. I've never ran on a track. I've done drag racing. That was it. And then off-roading for, Jesus, a long time now. But, so I'm learning the basics of autocross, handing that knowledge off to Kat. Kat was there at the first ones watching. She couldn't ride along yet. Next year, moving into next year, she will be 12 in January. She will be my co-pilot in every race, so long as they allow it, but shouldn't be an issue. Our goal is autocross this year. We are going to focus on XSB class. That's what it's built for. It meets all the requirements, and that's what we're going to do. Kat's going to learn from the passenger seat and in our free time where we can get her behind the wheel. You know, if we can get track time, whatever, she'll be practicing as well. From there, we're going to transition into track, so I will have some track days. Our good friend over at Track Prep Performance has been guiding us through this quite a bit and pushing us to get on the track as well. He actually pushed us to get to our first autocross, and now we've got a lot going on. We've got a lot planned for next year, and it's exciting. But the big part of it is I have to learn it, I have to pass it on to Kat, and eventually we will be taking turns in that driver's seat. But in the end, what is it Kat really wants to learn the most?
Tokyo Drift, mostly drift.
Drifting. But I told her, before we get into drifting, I want her to learn how to handle a car to its max on the track. And then we will learn how to throw that thing sideways and look good doing it.
Oh man, I'm one nervous mom. It's all good though. It's all good. What does MSG stand for?
What does MSG stand for, Kat?
Monkey Scraps Garage.
Monkey, yes, like the animal. Scraps, like scraps of wood. Garage.
We're surrounded by
This
it.
is our garage.
This is
So what
our-
is Monkey Scraps Garage? Let's give you a history lesson. For those that know me, you know what Monkey Scraps is. For those of you that are just going to be joining us and subscribing, Monkey Scraps was somewhat of a passion project, slash we had a need. During the lockdown, if you will, I had recently left my career in the aftermarket off-road world to go back to working in healthcare as a nurse. So I was getting my nursing degree so I could go work as a nurse. So at the time I was not working, the world shut down, and my wife's job closed down as well. So as you can imagine, no money was coming in. And I had not at the time started working at the hospital. So I started tinkering in the garage with wood and epoxy, literal scraps of wood and epoxy left over from a table I built, which was my desk for school. And it turned into a full-on business that we ultimately called Monkey Scraps. We built things like this. Show you that.
I remember when you built me one.
Our Instagram page for Monkey Scraps is still on. That's our logo. That's the original MSG logo that we ran until the Instagram page grew, and I do have a new logo, which is one you see in our thumbnail. But we made wooden epoxy pieces. We shipped them all over the country, hundreds, if not close to thousands of boards over the course of 3 years. We actually made a pretty good profit from that. It kept us afloat, and it also, at the time I was working on a different project, it funded that project, which ultimately all of those have been sold and put into this. So the Monkey Scraps name is going to live on. I sold off the business entirely to a good friend of mine who does it as a hobby more so, but told him I'm keeping the name, I'm keeping the page, because the name is part of me. It holds a special place in my heart because of everything we accomplished with it. So this garage here, this is where we ran that business, shipping boards all over the country. And I wanted to keep the name, I wanted to keep the history alive, so Monkey Scraps Garage became this. It's the garage that got us through, is now the garage that I'm teaching Kat everything that I've learned over the years since I was a kid, and bonding time together. So Monkey Scraps Garage, that's our history, and that's where we're at.
That's right.
Did we miss anything?
That's my knowledge at this moment.
I think that's a good rundown of who we are, what our plans are. A lot to come. There's going to be a lot of these. We'll do vlogs like this. We'll do videos of installs, more in-depth than we were doing as from the reels. And we're going to keep track of the racing, and we're going to grow both the page, grow together, grow our skills, grow our knowledge. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, help us out, show us some love. All the people that have been following us on Instagram show us so much love. They love what we're doing, so keep that coming. Like this video, follow us on Instagram, and stay tuned.
Subscribe.
Push the red button.